Okie doke. You guys ready? All right.
Jennifer Brohard is a 5th grade teacher at Glenview Elementary in Oakland, California.
Jeremiah?
She noticed a common problem in student reading and had an idea about how to help.
So what I discovered after a number of years is that the kids are reading through a piece and it's done. So a lot of what they read is just read to finish. What I wanted them to do was really get into that text. Break it down. What does it mean? What are they saying? How are you interpreting it? I want them to take this text and do something with it.
English women and children arrived in Jamestown in 1609. The next year,
Keep It or Junk It is a step-by-step process which enables students not just to read, but to identify the important concepts within the text and put them to use.
5 to 7 years.
Let's watch Jennifer use Keep It or Junk It as part of a 2-week social studies unit on the colony of Jamestown, Virginia. Today, the students will read a short passage and select key words. They will then use Keep It or Junk It to help identify main ideas and answer a focus question. Ultimately, they will use all of this to write a research essay on the topic.
So what you're going to do now is in your small groups, you've got a sheet of paper in front of you. So you read it, you reread it, you've got your words listed, okay? When you look at your key words, they're going to help you answer that focus question. So would you guys read that focus question?
What happened as a result of English settlement of Jamestown, Virginia?
Okay, so the words that you're going to choose as you list your keywords have to help answer that question. And right now you're going to work in small groups and you're going to have about 10 minutes to come up with one group list of your keywords. Don't categorize them yet. We're going to come up with categories after we do the Keep It or Junk It, okay?
In this first stage of Keep It or Junk It, the kids work in small groups to generate a list of words that will later be considered by the whole class.
What about merchants and farmers? Farmers grew part of the tobacco, and merchants also made a profit off of it.
Look what it says right here. English women and children arrived in Jamestown in 1609. The year John...
One of the things I found is that kids were pulling out all kinds of words. And there was no real way for them to tell what was an important word, what wasn't an important word.
So the kids, when they would grow up, they could help. So this is basically so they can get more people.
Yeah. So we should put children and women, right?
Yeah, women and children.
During their small group discussions, Jennifer helps students work through their ideas about the relative importance of each word.
Okay, now I want you to take a look at John Rolfe, and we talked about him yesterday, right? Why are you going to include John Rolfe? How does he help you answer that focus question? This guy right here, with that question right up there. Does he help you answer it?
We weren't sure if we were supposed to put that one there because it kind of talks a little more about him, how the tobacco farms did start a success, which could have led to something about how they got profited later. But we're still not sure if we were supposed to put John Wolfe in there.
So if you're not sure why you're supposed to, what would be the only reason you would supposed to put him in there?
The focus question.
Yeah, it helps you answer the focus question, right? Okay, remember we talked the other day in class about this idea of famous people, right?
Yes.
And who really is making the history? Famous people or us?
Success. Us.
Okay, because later we're going to look at the West Indies and the slave trade, right? John Rolfe will be long gone. You can really take a pencil and just let the kids, it's like a thinking map, really. So as they're linking that, they begin to see, wait a minute, John Rolfe isn't that big a deal.
New crops, England, tobacco, cash crop, West Indies, harvested, colonists, profit, land, and hand labor.
Once they've created their lists, each group puts their words up on the board in preparation for the main phase of Keep It or Junk It. Then, each student goes around with their own piece of paper and writes down which words they think are the most important.
Okay, so we have our 4 students who are going to lead this, right? One of you is going to write in the pair, and then one of you is going to do the keep it or junk it words, okay? Give the directions. So
we're gonna do keep it or junk it right now, and B1 is tobacco, 1 keep, 2 junk, 3 cloud.
and everybody must.
Everybody must vote. Jonathan, why do you want to keep it?
I'm gonna keep it because it's mostly the whole main idea of this passage.
Okay. Derek, why do you want to keep it?
I want to keep it because the Paladin sold it to the English to make their profit.
Okay, so 1 keep, 2 junk, 3 cloud. Okay, I think we're gonna keep it.
What they do is they call on students, pick 1 or 2 people that wanted to keep the word, 1 or 2 people that wanted to junk the word.
So the second word is colonists. 1 keep, 2 junk, 3 cloud.
So the first time they vote, and that's when they call on the kids to justify their opinion, why they wanted to keep it, why they wanted to junk it.
Marquino, why do you want to keep it?
Because they're the ones that came and they planted the tobacco for the profit.
Okay. Athena, why do you want to junk it?
I think we should junk it because the Powhatan first planted it and then the colonists found out about the tobacco.
And then hopefully after that discussion, you take another vote to see if anything has changed.
1 keep, 2 junk, 3 cloud.
And the cloud is they're not quite ready to get rid of it.
I think we're gonna cloud it.
If the kids aren't really ready to junk the piece, that word will keep showing up.
B3 is working hand labor.
Eventually, what they'll see is they keep sorting and categorizing and keeping or junking, that most of those words say cloud, they'll junk. Okay, we're going to switch and let these guys do one now. So is that you, Mary? Okay. I think the biggest thing is that the kids are directing it. They're directing their own learning.
Worst word's women, so 1 keep, 2 junk, 3 cloud. Okay.
This is their classroom. The more they run it, the more they feel engaged in it. The more they run it, the more they're talking through their ideas, working through their own thinking.
Anson, why do you want to keep it?
Well, because they were the one that came over and
I think when the kids are talking more, they're in charge of their education.
the suburbs would die off.
And I think as a teacher, then you're in charge of how am I going to facilitate that.
We filmed 2 classes with Jennifer this day, and she used keep it or junk it differently in each one.
You can see in each of the classes it was done a different way. Okay, if team leaders would come and get 1 sheet of paper, the big thing is who's in the class. While one class may need help with vocabulary, one class may need help with reading strategies, another class may need help with linking their ideas in a more sophisticated way. It's not a set way to do it.
In this class, when Jennifer realizes that some students have not done the reading, she adjusts using yet another technique.
Now, I think there's some people that might not have done the work. Am I right? Thumbs up. There are a few people that didn't quite do the work. Okay, so here's what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick jump in and read so that everybody can then circle their words, okay? Jump in and read is a way for me to check a couple of things. One, when kids read something independently and they're struggling, I want to make sure they're not just reading to get it done. I want to hear how they're reading it. If you didn't do the assignment, we're going to do jump in and read, and then you circle the words. You're not going to be someone who jumps in and reads, okay? You're going to be circling the words as we read it. Okay, what's the rule?
Jennifer quickly reviews the rules of jump in and read.
Okay, what's the rule on jump in and read? How many sentences? 4, okay? If you hear somebody start and you jump in late, what do you have to do? Stop. If you look around and see somebody that hasn't jumped in before, you're going to let them read. Okay, all right, who wants to start? All right, go ahead, Lauren.
English women and children arrived in Jamestown in 1609.
Jump in and read. I never do it as a first read. I've done it after I've read it. We've examined it. They're pretty familiar with the text.
In 1619, a Dutch ship captain exchanged 20 African captives for the supplies he needed.
It allows me to see what words they're not, as they're stumbling over. So indentured servants, for example.
Indentured.
As they're stumbling over that, that's letting me know they really don't know what it is. So I've got to go back and talk about that idea. talk in your groups for 30 seconds and give me a definition of indentured servants.
At this point, Jennifer has the students discuss the word in small groups, then send one rep to the front of the class to report the definition they've settled on.
All right, Lauren, indentured servants.
We think indentured servants are like people who travel around the world, and like what they said on the passage is like what they did was sign contracts to pay back and like work for 7 or 5 years.
Okay.
Like kind of like Lauren said, because like they have to do something or else they like won't live or something. But they have to do it for like 6 to 7 years for a certain period of time.
Like Lauren said, but also they were treated differently than the rest of the people, and they were controlled by different people.
People like who had a sentence, and to escape the sentence, they would work for like 5 to 7 years without any pay. And some of those people went to Jamestown and worked with the tobacco.
Okay, what kind of sentence did they have? Were they
Like a jail sentence.
okay, and where would they have had that jail sentence?
England.
Okay. Armand?
Like Lucy said, they would have a sentence, and sometimes they would work their sentence off by working in Jamestown for 6 to 7 years by growing tobacco, and the others.
Okay, good. All right, so we're going to keep indentured servants. 1 keep, 2 junk, 3 cloud. Why do you want to keep it, Lucy? I didn't have a student leader do it in this class because the kids they're a little bit unclear about the process still. You know, I mean, you could see when some of the kids were asked questions, they kind of, I don't know, they were kind of a little bit more hesitant. I think what I saw as they were putting their words up is that they weren't really justifying them in a way that they could use them. So things like, for example, I think there's one kid who talked about colonists because they were there. That's not really useful for them when they go to write.
Realizing it isn't working as planned, Jennifer improvises and changes everything.
Forget the keep it or junk it for right now because they weren't ready to do that. And then go back and look, can we do subheads to the paragraphs so the kids can kind of see, here's the big idea in this paragraph. Now let me go back and revise my keep it or junk it list and pull out their main ideas. I'm going to read the first paragraph, okay? You're going to read along with me silently. So then we're going to look at what are the 1 or 2 words that would help us describe what that paragraph is about, okay? Everybody clear? So remember, you're tracking along as I read, okay? English women and children arrived in Jamestown in 1609. Keep it or junk it. The first time I tried this, it took forever. And I thought, oh, man, this is awful, And you just start seeing glazed eyes. It takes a lot of practice, and I think the thing I would say is be patient, keep doing it, because the kids are not used to reading like this. And it's very different. It's pushing the kids way out of their comfort zone. They're used to reading it and saying, I'm done, where are the questions? So it's a process for you to keep doing it as the teacher. It's a process for the kids.
Just like a supporting detail, and
the payoff is the kids know it, and when you see the writing, through all of this, they've linked their ideas. And what you can really see is, how is that student thinking? How did they use their information? Did they really get it?
Keep, 2 junk, 3 cloud.
The thing that I've come away with over the last couple of years is that while I would like to think content was really critical, I think the really critical thing is the analytical skills and the thinking skills.
We're gonna junk that one.
It's not about answering a question. It's not about revising my essay and putting the periods in the right place and capitalizing. It's about revising my thinking, and to see kids at the end of the year say, wow, I kind of got this.
Keep that.
And then they really feel this is my information.